This nation once challenged the Soviet Union, threatened to invade the US, declared its readiness to wipe out Europe, and even vowed to help Taiwan conquer China. You heard that right. Gambia, a small West African country, is ranked 40th out of the world's 49 smallest nations. It's astonishing how this nation has gained notoriety for its audacious and belligerent rhetoric. Gambia is like the global version of a loud-mouthed troublemaker, always talking big, always looking for a fight, whether it's with the US, Russia, or even China. In response to Gambia's threats, the global powerhouses barely reacted, neither punishing nor retaliating. Is it because they simply don't care? Or could it be that Gambia actually possesses some hidden military prowess that even superpowers fear? So why does this tiny nation dare to challenge global powers so boldly? And why do military giants like the Soviet Union and the US seemingly ignore Gambia's declarations of war? Let's delve into this intriguing story and uncover the answers in the following video. Officially known as the Republic of the Gambia, this West African nation holds the title of the smallest country on the continent. Almost entirely enveloped by Senegal, Gambia has only a short coastline along the Atlantic Ocean to its west. Shaped like a worm on the map, it covers a mere 10,689 square kilometers, 4,127 square miles. Its population is just over 2 million. Economically, this African nation is impoverished. Its military strength is equally modest, consisting primarily of an army and a navy. The army, established in 1984, comprises around 1,900 soldiers divided into 2 infantry battalions, an engineering squadron, and a presidential guard company. Its equipment is similarly limited, with just 8 Ferret armored cars and 4 M8 Greyhound armored cars. The Navy, formed in 1996 from a former National Guard unit, consists of approximately 80 personnel and a meager 2 patrol boats. As you can see, Gambia's military strength and equipment pale in comparison to many other nations. At this level, Gambia would probably lose miserably, even against Cambodia. Despite this apparent lack of power, Gambia has displayed an incredibly defiant attitude, engaging in provocative actions against major world powers since 1985. In 1985, after failing to secure aid from the Soviet Union, Gambia went full drama mode, declaring that within just 3 days, they would take over the entire Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Of course, nothing happened. It was just another round of tough talk. If taking on a single country wasn't enough, Gambia decided to up its game by threatening an entire continent. In 1995, following unsuccessful trade agreement negotiations, Gambia confidently announced its intention to wipe out the entire European continent with an expeditionary force. They threatened Britain, France, Germany, and Italy for using human rights issues to sanction their nation. Yet again, despite the grand declaration of war, Gambia failed to take any concrete action. In 2000, anti-government protests erupted in Gambia, leading to intense clashes between protesters and government forces. Seeking safety, some protesters fled into the US consulate. However, in a brazen move, government troops stormed the consulate, capturing the protesters and even attacking US consulate staff while seizing the building. And guess what? Even after this blatant attack, the US didn't even bat an eye. Instead, they opted for relatively mild sanctions and closed their embassy. Perhaps as a global superpower, the US simply didn't consider it worthwhile to engage with such a minor player. Yet, just 2 years later, Gambia issued another direct threat to the US, declaring, "If the US does not lift the sanctions, we will send an expeditionary force to level the entire North American continent." Despite the intimidating rhetoric, Gambia, true to form, took no concrete action. As expected, Gambia was all bark and no bite, just like always. Following this incident, the US downgraded its diplomatic relations with Gambia. Relations between the two countries only normalized in February 2008, when the US sent naval officers to help Gambia install an automated identification system known as the Maritime Safety and Security Information System. In September 2011, a US Special Forces training team arrived at the port of Banjul to conduct a 2-week training program for the West African nation's Navy. This further strengthened the growing ties between the two countries. Emboldened by some US support, in 2012, Gambia made another absurd claim. They would help Taiwan completely defeat the Chinese military in just 24 hours. Bold words, zero action, as always. This declaration of support seemed to be a gesture of gratitude, as Taiwan had gifted Gambia 4 Devora-class patrol boats in 2009. However, despite the bold proclamation, Gambia took no concrete action. China, in turn, condemned the Gambian government for its naive and outdated remarks, but refrained from any military response. In August 2013, Taiwan donated 3 new patrol boats to Gambia, replacing the aging Devora-class vessels. One would think this would further strengthen the close friendship between the two nations. But who would have guessed? Just 3 months later, Gambia abruptly cut diplomatic ties with Taiwan, citing national strategic interests. They even threatened to capture Taipei within 3 hours. Furthermore, Gambia did not establish diplomatic relations with China, becoming one of the few countries with no formal ties to either Taiwan or China. Not stopping at just declaring war, Gambian delegates at the UN General Assembly have, for years, shamelessly insulted the UN Secretary General, calling him a fool. They have also hurled insults and criticisms at the representatives of the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, the US, China, Russia, UK, and France, labeling them rogue madmen. Despite these direct affronts, these powerful nations have typically laughed it off, dismissing the Gambian delegates' outbursts. Many might wonder why militarily strong nations like the US, China, and Russia haven't invaded Gambia as punishment for its provocations, especially since they possess the capability to do so easily. The reason lies in Gambia's lack of strategic significance. It is an extremely poor country with an underdeveloped economy, possessing virtually no valuable resources or minerals to exploit. The primary source of income for most Gambians is agriculture, with 75% of the population relying on farming for their livelihood. Statistics place Gambia among the 15 poorest countries globally, with a GDP per capita of just over 1,900 USD. Therefore, invading this West African nation offers little to no benefit. Simply put, Gambia holds little importance in the eyes of the world's leading powers. Ironically, the primary concern for Gambians isn't foreign invasion, but rather the frequent military coups that have plagued their nation. These coups contribute to the constant shifts in Gambia's foreign policy. Adding to the intrigue, Gambia has a unique voting system using glass marbles. On election day, voters gather at polling stations equipped with 3 drums, each bearing the photo of a candidate. Voters cast their ballots by dropping a marble into the drum of their chosen candidate. And just like that, the vote is counted and considered valid. The candidate with the most marbles wins. These are just some of the peculiarities of Gambia, a tiny nation with an outsized ego and a penchant for verbal aggression. What's your take on Gambia's world-class trash-talking skills? Share your thoughts in the comments section. And don't forget to like and subscribe to join us for more fascinating stories. Thank you for watching today's video, and we'll see you in the next one.